Three, two, one. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 275 of the KBMOD podcast. It's April 23rd, 2017, Sunday evening, and I'm your host, Brandon, and I'm joined, as always, by Brad and KD. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm good myself. You?
Just went to a wedding today.
Oh, did you?
It's pretty
a Sunday wedding.
Yeah. Yes, it was actually very beautiful weather today.
Nice.
So,
okay.
yeah.
You made it back in time for the cast. That's very considerate of you.
I did.
Did you miss out on the after party or something just to be at the cast?
There was no after party.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't a very good evening. I mean, it was fine, but it was not really a wedding of the partying kind of people.
Oh, really? Okay. I was going to say, throwing some shade on the wedding.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a great wedding. It just wasn't, you don't go there expect like a party or something. Like, I mean, what am I trying to say? It was a couple of very conservative cousins is one of their weddings. Not two, no, what am I saying? It was one cousin of mine.
No, so not both cousins. It was a cousin.
No, it was a cousin and her wedding. Man, yeah, that came out very wrong.
Okay, so it was like a proper wedding, not so much a party scene.
Exactly. Yeah, no one's getting turned.
Okay. Well, all right. So you had
just your cousins.
Yeah, just my cousins.
Just both cousins enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure they had a great night. No. Yeah, other than that, been having a good week. Gonna start hitting the gym pretty soon.
Good. Okay. All right. Hitting the gym. I notice you're for our audio listeners, you're not getting to enjoy KD clean shaven, fresh haircut. He's
yes.
Yeah, hardly recognized him.
It's like a whole new person on the cast now.
Yeah, I mean, if you hit the gym, who knows? Who knows? You're gonna make people tune in for the video.
That should just be the new thumbnail for the podcast. Yeah. It's just a picture of me, no shirt on.
Well, we've been for a while we were tracking your game diet. Now maybe we got to track your real diet.
My real diet. Ooh.
You're gonna hit the gym. We gotta try and keep you accountable.
We'll see. I'll keep you updated.
Those Wendy's fondue fries got to go out the window.
They do. Yeah, I'll have to start I'll make flashcards of all the exercises I have to stick to.
There you go. Well, we are missing Scott this week. You notice he's not here. He is in L.A. I think visiting Sark and Nick Fenton and other friends of the cast. So hopefully he's having a nice time. Yeah. But I think he'll be back next week.
This is suspiciously timed, just as Hutch is moving to L.A.
Yeah.
So we may see a certain YouTube video if they decide to pander.
Definitely doesn't seem coincidental. Also this week, like this past week was 420, so I feel like there's definitely some heavy Illuminati
awfully calculated.
Yeah,
there's something going on.
There's too many coincidences at once to really believe that wasn't pre-planned. But yeah, he's on the West Coast. I think he's flying back at some point. So I think he'll be back next week. But you get to enjoy us three for the second week in a row, and it's kind of nice. We got a nice intimate cast. We got some news. We got some quick hits. We got a ton of new releases. My goodness. That section's filled to the brim.
Oh yeah. Crazy week this week.
But before we get into all that,
sorry. No, I was just saying 2017. It's been just a crazy year for gaming.
It has been. The past few months have been pretty wild, especially between like console and PC. I feel like it started off a little bit slow, but we've had a bunch of new releases hitting pretty much every week.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be a nice section. I look forward to that one. But before we get there, what have you guys been up to this week? We can talk about gaming or just normal stuff. I mean, aside from the wedding you went to today. Brad, have you been up to anything exciting?
It's that time of year, so I'm getting to do some more hikes lately.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not a raining mess around here. So my girlfriend and I climbed up, part of a mountain, saw some waterfalls, took took like our family member's dog out. It was pretty fun. And then I went to a cider festival yesterday or the day before. Like one of the very few like cider specific events that I've ever seen, because usually it's like beer or wine.
I was gonna say, what happens at a cider festival?
You just so you pay a ticket, and like when you get there, you get a glass and then tokens, and then you can use those tokens to get like a sample of like different ciders that you want. So so you get 5 tokens, so you can go try 5 different ciders, and then you could buy more tokens if you want. It's relatively cheap, but yeah, it's all either local or national ciders. And ciders are kind of picking up, at least here in the Northwest. A lot of people are figuring out like, I don't really like beer, but I'm not really a wine guy. You know, what's kind of the thing I can go for, and cider's picking up because of that, I think.
Yeah, I don't like beer, but I actually really enjoy cider. I don't have it that often because some cider is really sweet. But I actually, that sounds pretty cool.
Then you would have liked this, yeah, because they have just everything you could think of.
Yeah, I love some of like the more craft ciders that I've had, especially ones that aren't super sweet. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, some are, you know, kind of tart, sour, dry. You know, just very, very different. But it's, to me, I'm not really a beer guy. As much as I try. You know, it was really nice. It was enjoyable. But and then they had food and, you know, some local stuff, a band playing, that kind of thing. Nice. Yeah, but that was it for me as far as events. What about yourself?
I had a pretty quiet week. Mostly just it was my wife and I's anniversary this weekend. This week, so we just went to a nice dinner last night. So nothing crazy. But what have we been gaming? Because that's I have much more to talk about there.
Well, I was about to say you made Katie and I wait like 40 minutes last night for your stupid anniversary dinner.
Well, yeah, that's a nice little segue. Yeah, we've been playing some PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is now not a new topic anymore on the cast. But man, that's pretty much all I've been playing recently, and it has been contributing to some late nights this week, which is not necessarily a good thing for me. But I've been really enjoying it, playing with you guys. I've been playing with a few other friends, and just something about that game, man, like duos, trios, quads. It's all been fun. Even the games where we lose, I feel like. Katie, I think you're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I was. I was just saying, the one more factor on the game is just super strong.
It really is. Everyone is like, all right, we're going to play like one more game. We'll just go, we'll go and like we'll basically try and die quickly, like we'll go out guns blazing. And then you get one of those and it only lasts 5 minutes and you're like, all right, come on, we can do one more. We can do one more. So yeah, it's been, been going to bed at like 3 or 4 a.m. some nights this weekend just because you get that one more factor, and especially when you get a win. I've gotten a few wins, and we actually got I got like a duo win with someone, and then we got a fours win last night or the night before, and I managed to grab an AWM, and we had a suppressor for a sniper rifle, and so it was the first time I got to try an AWM with a suppressor. And it was just disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. And
so for those that don't play the game, so basically it's you and your teammates or just yourself, depending on the game mode you play, try to last to the end and get kills along the way. But really, the ultimate goal is just be the last one standing. So the game modes often referred to as King of the Hill. But so the weapon Brandon got, you can only get in a drop.
Yeah, and it's basically it is the same weapon as the AWP in Counter-Strike. Like it's the same gun model that shoots 300 Magnum ammo, and it's the strongest sniper rifle in the game.
And so yeah, it's a little unreal. You don't want to be on the other end. Let's just put it that way.
But Katie, you're muted again.
How? I swear, dude, this Yeti. I think the mute button might be like sensitive or something. But yeah, we've been getting plenty of wins. Like when it was three of us, and then I think maybe it was just me, Brandon, John, and one of your friends. Got plenty of wins there. I did a duo with Brad. Got a win there. Some of us getting much more passionate about the game than others, and getting a little more letting our emotions take control. You know, for better or for worse.
Yeah, Katie.
Yep.
Yeah, we had like a duo game or a trio game where I was the last one, and it was a military base ending. So and the military base is all, for those who don't play, the military base is like where some of the best weapons are, but it's always very heavily trafficked. And so I was the last one, and I had gotten several kills. You know, I'd killed like 4 people in the last 10 or something. And it was me and one guy left, but I didn't have any med kits or anything, so I was like one shot, and my heart was pounding. Like there is just no other game I have played in recent memory where I'm sitting here completely alert and my heart is pounding, like my blood pressure is rising. And I ended up, you know, I threw a grenade. I was trying to kind of bait him out, but we both had to move. And I think he was full health, and man, he got the jump on me a little bit, and I got a couple shots in him, but I was only one hit, so he killed me, and I got second. But just like that adrenaline rush is something that I have not experienced in another game, maybe ever. Like even first person shooters that I really love, you never get that heart pounding type action, I feel like, because it's still over so quickly, you know.
Yeah,
I feel like the only game I have gotten that from was like playing H1, but then I just feel like it's just so much more amped up now that I feel kind of in control with Battlegrounds, because like H1, it's so unpredictable with the bugs and the cheating that like if you lose, it honestly might be up to like one of those factors. But like Battlegrounds is so well polished to this point where it's like, if you're top 5, really what's going to stop you from getting there is really just you and your loadout. Like you can't really go to blame like, oh, the hit reg system is garbage, or like, oh, that dude was fly hacking or something. Like, no, it is straight up like at this point, I just feel like it is you and like your gameplay, and I feel like that's what amplifies that adrenaline. It's just a lot of pressure, and
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys saw that, at least Brandon did, where I wiped out a whole squad by myself. My heart was going crazy, but basically what was happening was Brandon got ambushed while we were up on the hill, and he was like in a house or something. He didn't know that we were up above, and one by one, everybody kind of died just because we were spread out. And I had like 2 weapons. One of them was like a silenced UMP, and go up to the house, shoot one guy that had his back to me, and then I go by a window and I see 2 guys looking out the window, and I just go nuts through this window, get one guy, and then I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna commit. I run into the house, get his buddy, and then I wait out for the 4th person, and I got the whole squad. My heart was just about to pop out of my chest. Like, it was so unreal.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so
yeah, I feel like every game kind of has a story, and those games that you win, it's like you almost, it takes me kind of back to the days where you always wanted to be recording, like, because you never knew when something awesome or amazing would happen. And I feel like those moments, they happen all the time in this game, and even like it's hard to compare it to really anything else that I've gotten that feeling from, because I'm trying to think like, you know, let's say in Call of Duty, you know, your team would be maybe in domination, and you're like vying back and forth for kills up until the last minute, but even that is like it's just not that heart pounding excitement. You're like excited, you know it's close or whatever, but there's just, I feel like the stakes aren't there It's like, if we win, cool. If we lose, there's another one right after this, and it's like it's not that big of a deal.
Exactly.
But Battlegrounds just it has, even though you can just queue up for another one, there's just I feel like there's this sense of stakes that you don't get in other games.
Oh yeah, like the investment you put in is so big with time, and like every kill in that game feels like such an accomplishment. You know, like I was getting like, you know, snipes I was really proud of. I was getting like grenade kills that like I felt super good, and then stuff like that. You know, getting to like top 10, your heart is beating. You get reminded, you know, you can really only feel this way in, you know, video games and that medium. I mean, probably that and being actually held at gunpoint trying to win or like trying to kill people. But you know, but yeah, that I've really been loving that game. Also.
Yeah, so that's been pretty much all I've played. I played a small handful of Hearthstone games, but I'm just still not in love with this current expansion. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that Battlegrounds is like stealing my attention so much. But
yeah, because we were all going to play Quake, right? And then we
were going to play Quake Champions, and then I think we all just collectively forgot that we were.
No, it's not that I forgot. I was like, oh, the Quake Champions beta is out. I could play Battlegrounds. It's tough. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to play other games. It's just that I want to play Battlegrounds more than those games.
Right.
And a new patch hit in the middle of this week, and it fixed some of the issues. Like it added bikes. I have that excitement. It's different. But I'm at a little bit of that excitement where I was at with Tribes Ascend, where I was playing in the beta and I was paying attention to each patch and like what they were fixing and changing with each patch. And I'm a little bit like that with Battlegrounds right now. Like anytime they release patch notes, I want to read through them and see what changed and like pay attention to it. And normally I'm the opposite with games I'm playing. Like I don't want to play them until they're a little more polished, you know. Like I'm maybe a little bit like that with Quake Champions. I'm excited for it, but also I know it's going to change a lot, and do I really want to like kind of go through that roller coaster of changes through the beta and then to launch? And it's like with Battlegrounds, I kind of do want to ride that roller coaster, and that's a pretty rare thing.
Oh yeah. Like committed to like, you know, keeping up with the game as it evolves, which is like it's been such a successful early access. You know, it's already top 3 on Steam. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them doing well, because I think like I want this game to have a long life based on what I'm already seeing and like the enjoyment I'm already getting. I've already put in far more time than the $30 I spent could have gotten me. So that's been super fun. Have you guys played anything else? Because I have not.
I think that was it for me. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I played a couple more things. More Persona 5. Beat the first boss in that game. Game is just still incredible. Can't really talk about it, but I've been playing Outlast 2 a whole bunch, and we'll see a review on the website for that in the coming days.
Was that a teaser?
It's a little teaser. It's not going to be a review. I'm going to be doing a review, but first it's going to be kind of like a first impressions video. So yeah, that'll be coming up possibly late tomorrow, early tomorrow. We'll see. It's kind of still in production, but
cool.
Yeah, I've been playing that.
But if you're listening to the audio version, it may already be up. You could go to kbmod.com right now.
There you go. You could check it out. And but other than that, another thing I got back into Dark Souls 1 a little bit, which I haven't played in a couple years. I found a mod for it, which well, let me explain something. So in Dark Souls, there's this certain kind of multiplayer mechanic where you can basically curse someone else's game and have their world like have extra enemies put into it that are like, they're called like Black Phantom enemies, where they like kind of glow red, and they do double damage, they have double health, and like it really, and so the only way you can get them out of your world is if you find the person, find like how to, like they have a sign put down somewhere in your game, you have to invade their game and kill them to like uncurse your world. It's a pretty interesting thing, but I downloaded a mod that makes it where every single enemy in the game is a red phantom. And so it's like every common enemy, every mob, if they go hostile, the giant crow that carries you in the beginning of the game is like all red and tinted. It's like hilarious like that too. But I've just really am enjoying Dark Souls because of that. Like going through the first level of the game, I haven't even beaten it yet with the mod on. Like I keep dying over and over. Just having like it sounds like a pretty simple like difference, but everything doing double damage and having more health. It just goes from something where it just demands perfection. And like the smallest mistake, you can get comboed and killed instantly. But it's not like everything is just one-shotting you all the time, because you can build your character a certain way to like be better for it. But it's not like oh, I made this mistake, but I can just ask this flask from it. It's like, okay, I made this mistake. Now I have to really buckle down and focus and get out of this hell situation I'm in, you know. But so yeah, that's been a really interesting take on it, which is like it's also just cool. Like some people compare it to like, why not just play it on like a higher New Game Plus? But yeah, if you just want to get into the game and start like just have that immediate difficulty without having to put in like 80 hours into a file, it's pretty cool.
So do you still enjoy going back to original Dark Souls, even though you have like Dark Souls 3?
Oh yeah, they're well, they're really different kind of games. It's having the different that's an odd really like comparison to make. Like I wouldn't really they're both two single player games. They're both two completely different journeys to go through. So I wouldn't pick 3 over 1 just because it's a more polished game. In a lot of ways, I like the level design of 1 more. I like the bosses and the story of 1 more. And yeah, going back to that and having this new mod for it kind of makes the replayability better.
Okay.
But what sucks is that I don't think they could ever do something like that for Dark Souls 3 because there are no red phantoms in that game. So I'm not sure what they could do for that. But
But what you're saying is Dark Souls was not challenging enough for you anymore, so you have to mod
not
it
anymore
to be even more challenging.
Exactly. Yeah, because like I get so mad when I talk to people and they're like, Dark Souls isn't even hard once you know what to do. I'm like, all right, let's challenge that. I know this game inside and out, top to bottom. I know every little bit about it, and it's still kicking my ass. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I played. Speaking of I was thinking we were going into the news, but we actually have some website news to go into.
I was gonna say you could have saved your if you're really trying to master the segue, you could have saved your Outlast tease to go right into what's going on in KBMOD. But we'll
first segue of the night just butchered.
we'll have to refine that one for next time. But why don't you tell us what's going on in KBMOD this week, KD?
Yeah, so we've got a new review in addition to the Outlast 2 video. So our good friend Tim Stefanoob did a review of a game called Shock Tactics, which I have not heard of. Looks like a kind of an XCOM vibe to it. Did you want to take this, Brad? I saw you added in. I don't know if you know more about this.
Just basically, he reviewed it. You have it. You're right on the money there. It's basically, you know, in the same place as like the XCOM series. Like if you play XCOM, you might be interested in this. I was watching a little video of this. It seemed blatantly the same system on just about everything. But he gave it quite an interesting score. I was
gonna say I don't want to like spoil the review here, but
yeah, you should go to kbmod.com and read into it before you think about purchasing Shock Tactics. So
I want to give one quote from this just to kind of give you an appetizer. The combat in Shock Tactics showed off some of the most bizarre moments I have ever seen in a video game. And I don't mean this in a good way. So that's already pretty.
This review is actually pretty interesting because like the screenshots do not look like something that would be worthy of the rating he gave it.
Yeah. It looks like a half decent game just at face value.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting. Yeah, you should check that out on the website if you're thinking about getting Shock Tactics, or if you just want to be entertained and weren't ever thinking about getting this game.
Damn. All right.
And that's all we've got this week. But like Katie mentioned, he'll have an Outlast video going up this week. So we will, I guess, talk about that one on next cast.
Oh, I gotta be silent. It's killing me.
Once KD is allowed to talk about it. But
yes.
We're gonna roll right into the news here. And
speaking of a game that tries tried and true tactics and design, Call of Duty is jumping back a decade with its newest release.
Jumping back a decade? Only a decade? Oh,
yeah.
You mean a decade in release time, like a decade?
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say it's more than a. They're going back more than a decade,
decades,
but they're going back to like the mid 2000s.
Oh my god, it's just Modern Warfare remastered too.
Yeah. So I think we talked about this being sort of a rumor based on some leaks, but it's now official. Call of Duty World War II, or it's actually literally it looks like the name of the game from what I can tell is Call of Duty. WWII. So it's like, I mean, that's a pretty uninspired title.
What a fucking terrible title.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
But
I'd rather it be called just Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we keep talking about this, but like at some point, I really do think they just have to call it Call of Duty. And it seems like this would have been the chance to take, but instead, they went with Call of Duty WWII. And it looks like they are going to have a worldwide reveal live stream on April 26th.
Yeah, they're announcing the announcement.
They're pulling a Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, but there were apparently some leaks regarding a few things. I guess some marketing materials got leaked, and I guess I'm trying to see what were these leaks even.
I think the biggest things was there's a co-op mode. There will be a beta for the game. I don't know if that's just for the multiplayer. But yeah, of course, there will be a quote private beta for those who pre-order.
Yeah, and I guess the release date, which I don't think anyone was. I mean, it's apparently Friday, November 3rd, 2017. I feel like these games always release like early November, so. I don't know that really surprises anyone.
If you guys don't know, so basically the studio, or not the publisher, Activision, has like 3 different studios working on Call of Duty games for 3 years, and each studio under Activision comes out with a new Call of Duty every year. So Sledgehammer has this one. I don't know who's next, but it'll be a different studio next year, and then it'll be a different studio next year, the year after that, and then it'll be back to Sledgehammer.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I guess we don't really know anything. I actually thought that they had more information, but this is pretty bland stuff. So I guess we'll know more once that reveal live stream happens. But
I'm just curious. So Brandon, did you play the old school Call of Duties? I'm guessing you did.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
so
I enjoyed the early Call of Duties, but I feel like those games they took place in such a different like time in PC gaming history. Like Call of Duty 1 was I remember that stealing people away from Medal of Honor Allied Assault. And like Call of Duty at the time was a brand new franchise. And so I mean, that's really the last. I guess they did World War II time frame in several different games, but like that World War II time setting is not something that I think people associate with current day Call of Duty because they've been away from that setting for so long.
Yeah, but you know, see, I was gonna say this right before I cut out mysteriously, but it always goes Sledgehammer, Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and so yeah, Treyarch is gonna be next. I don't think we'll see Black Ops 4 though. But you know, I have faith in Sledgehammer because they made Advanced Warfare, which a lot of people it gets a lot of negative what am I trying to say, feedback, I guess. A lot of people didn't like that one, but the thing they did the most, that was around the time when it was the first Call of Duty to do switched up movement. Like it added in, you know, the jetpacks and the boost jumping and everything, and completely turned it on its head. And for the time, that was like a really radical like step forward for the series. Like that's what people were wanting like for a long time, is some change. And so when you put a similar kind of assignment on them in bringing the series back to its roots, I think they're going to do the most successful job of the three, in my opinion. But,
do you think that it's, I mean, it is such a different game though. If you're trying to do a World War II setting compared to the movement in Advanced Warfare, do you think that they're going to have a tougher time? Because like the game is going to have to be so different from the game they've made before.
I think, well, let's look, purely single player, in Advanced Warfare, a large majority of those levels didn't have any of the boost jumping. It was all designed very like boots on the ground, and it had a pretty like, I actually really dig the single player for that one, and the multiplayer in that one. I mean, this is kind of not going to be, probably a lot of people won't find it really indicative of how it should, like the quality of it will be. But when I played Advanced Warfare on like a boots on the ground playlist that took out all the boost jumping, I enjoyed it far more than that taken out. So I'm not sure if that'll really translate well. But I think the jump between Call of Duty with like big 3D movement and not big 3D movement shouldn't be too tough of an assignment, in my opinion.
I'll be interested to see how they make World War II feel different from all their old games, because like obviously the guns and everything are going to have to be similar, right? World War II, it's like you have the MP40, you have the Thompson, you've got like, I'm not sure at some point, I'm not sure how you inject more originality into that setting, because it's like everyone knows the theater, everyone knows the guns. So how do you make a new Call of Duty that feels very different from the old Call of Duties?
Zombie.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, everyone knows that they did have Nazi zombies in World War II. That's actually, they don't teach you that. They don't teach you that in history class, but that's part of the conspiracy. But you know what I'm saying, though, right? It's like I feel like they've been able to take a lot more like artistic freedom with the current and like near future time frames. But with World War II, it's like what do you add? What do you change to make it interesting today compared to your old games?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I think they'll find a way to. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I think it is definitely possible to like either
I guess like
refine the gameplay enough.
Game modes, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, game modes, or maybe not just like Battlefield 1. A lot of times for that game, like people were thinking the same thing, and then they kind of ditched. If they didn't go for really strict accuracy in Battlefield 1, so they could kind of pull that in. Oh my God, that was my first time in life referring to this as Call of Duty World War II, and it's gross. I got shook in there for a moment. But no, I mean,
Battlefield 1 also, like, I think Battlefield could have the same problem if they tried to do World War II again. But they did World War I, and so like the weapons are kind of different. I feel like people aren't intimately familiar with World War I, but World War II is like, even if you're not a history buff, I feel like you probably, if you've played shooters, you probably recognize words like Thompson and like Carentan and other either maps or guns or whatever that you just associate with World War II.
You're right. I mean, World War II shooter is a shooter that's been so like, it's been taken by so many different games. So
yeah, it's been done so many times, and the thing is that Call of Duty has literally done that setting before. So this is, I mean, even though other games have done that setting, there is no. I'm trying to think. I can't think of another game that has like the tenure that Call of Duty does, right? Where it's like many games now, where they end up going back to that same time setting, but they have to make a completely new and fresh game. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't more interested in this than I was in their previous few games, because like, I think World War II is a more interesting time period than the current and near future stuff they've done recently.
Yes.
But I'm like I'm not going to pre-order it. You know, I'm not. I think
No.
it's like we're at the point now with Call of Duty where I don't necessarily trust that they will create something really awesome and original here. But I hope they do. You know,
You won't pre-order even if they bundle World at War remastered.
Oh
with it?
my god,
I don't.
that is
I mean,
the one thing.
that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't even play that much World at War. Like I don't have this strong affinity for World at War. If they put if they put in World at War remastered, that would just be. I think I would laugh. Like, do that many people have like strong feelings about World at War?
They really do.
There's
a lot of
zombie-
really
zombies.
Oh, the
Players.
zombies players. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I mean, maybe we've just been talking to different people, but I know a lot of people who are really like.
I mean,
the
I
multiplayer
could
for
see
World at
I
War.
could see it being sort of a part of who you gamed with. Like I was playing with people that weren't like my group of gaming
right.
friends did not play World at War heavily, but I could see where World at War, like if you had friends that played it, then that could have been you could have had feelings like that game the same way that a lot of people feel about Call of Duty 4, which I did play heavily, and I played Modern Warfare 2 quite a bit. But World at War just like didn't my group wasn't really playing that game much, so I didn't put many hours into that game.
Gotcha. I'm just waiting for EA to revive that Medal of Honor, if you know what I mean. So, after Warfighter, that franchise is practically dead. But
yeah, I don't even know what the Medal of Honor franchise means in this day and age.
It's in a dark place right now.
Like Medal of Honor for all of its flaws, I feel like Call of Duty, at least you always know what you're getting. Like it's going to be this fast-paced, frantic gameplay, regardless of the setting. I feel like Medal of Honor, between the old games like Allied Assault, which is like in my top 10 games of all time, one of my favorite shooters of all time, compared to their the newer entrants into the Medal of Honor franchise that are like unrecognizable compared to that old game, at least in my opinion. So I think, Medal of Honor, like, what does that even mean in this day and age?
Well, we haven't had one for 5+ years at this point, so I don't know.
I was gonna say too, the one thing I'm worried the most about Call of Duty World War II about this game is fucking Activision. I know they're gonna come up with a new way to dick us over, like they have the past 3 games with completely ruining DLC, supply drop weapons, completely ruining like the ecosystem of the game, Advanced Warfare, like completely betraying the style of that game, adding in the fucking gingerbread man suits and shit like that. Here's the thing, they're gonna come out and say that they're not doing shit, and then they're gonna go around and do it. Like they said, Call of Duty 4 wouldn't have any supply drops. Boom, they added supply drops. Oh, they're gonna be purely cosmetic. Boom, they added in brand new guns.
I think that's maybe also something I was thinking in the back of my mind when I was talking earlier about the setting, like the World War II setting. Like, I feel like you can't necessarily get away with the crazy cosmetic stuff in a World War II setting. Like, are you gonna let people put weed leaves on their guns?
I mean, I can't have a golden AK.
No, but I don't even mean like golden. I mean like full out customization because of the historical sort of reverence people have for World War II. Like, can you release a game that is going to allow people to do stupid customization stuff and sort of like, I don't know. Do you see what I'm getting at? That like it was sort of a serious time period where it's different. I feel like it's different than creating a game that's in present day or near future, where like that stuff is I think not as heavy because it's not like actual real stuff that happened in history. I don't know. Like I'm curious to see what they will do with that, because I feel like World War II, maybe you got to be slightly more sensitive with like the crazy customization and stuff that you allow. Thoughts?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
I was lost in thought there.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we will.
I see what you're saying. It's just going to be a lot for Activision to step back from the model that they previously put in for such a serious game. But
yeah. I think it could be tough for them to do the World War II setting justice and like give that sense of immersion if people have, weed leaves and stuff on their guns, and that's what I'm curious about. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did it. I mean, they're in it to make money, and cosmetics make money, so
I would loathe that.
I don't think you'd be alone, right? I think people do look at games in like a World War II setting or World War I setting differently than they would something present day that's sort of like not a real conflict that happened.
Yeah, it doesn't feel. There's been the thing the most about the most recent, I think, like 2 or 3 Call of Duty games is that they just haven't been as sophisticated as a setting like World War II. And I feel like 1 month, 2 months after the game comes out, Activision's just like, okay, well, they've let them just have their fun now. Give them the bacon.
Well, and I think that's also something I feel like has changed over time with the Call of Duty series. I feel like the first Call of Duty games in the franchise did have a much more serious tone. Like they were, because Medal of Honor Allied Assault had a fairly serious tone, and then like Call of Duty, it's not like it was realistic, but it was, I don't know, it wasn't the game that didn't take itself seriously, which I feel like Call of Duty kind of is now with all the like, with the different like zombie modes, with all the customization. I feel like Call of Duty is almost like a parody of itself sometimes, but if it's going to return back to a World War II setting, does it try and go a little more serious than it has before? And I don't know. I'm not sure if they can sort of stop that that momentum that they've started, and kept over the past few games.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will learn more about that, I guess, on this live stream here on Wednesday. I think Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me see.
So we may have more to talk about next week if they announce anything of substance, or the game is only, I guess, about 6 months away from actually releasing. So I'm sure we'll know more before too long. But moving on to non-Call of Duty related news, we were going to talk about some Twitch news that you guys added in here. I did not add this in, but I'm happy to talk about it. Twitch announced a new affiliate program for non-partnered streamers to be able to make money on the Twitch platform, which is pretty neat.
Right. So it sounds like basically there's a couple different things that Twitch is offering, which is basically people can support streamers whether or not they're partnered with Bits, which is basically a built-in donation system that Twitch has provided to their users.
It's a virtual good, but continue.
Okay. And then I don't know what this means, the subscription coming soon for Twitch affiliate. It looks like they'll also be able to make money off of game sales and then ad revenue as well. So when you go to a stream, and if you're kind enough to not have an ad blocker, and you watch a ad, that will go to that affiliate that you're about to watch. Priority access to transcoding, and then just some default options for what looks to be payouts. If you're making money, you will get paid, but just in a different time frame than like you would in a partner. So it's just a different tier between a normal user and a Twitch partner, and it sounds like it's going to be available to a much larger user base. You need at least 500 minutes of broadcasting in the last 30 days.
Oh, I have to broadcast 16 minutes a day. Oh my God. It's not for me.
7 unique broadcasts in the last 30 days, an average of 3 concurrent viewers or more, and then at least 50 followers, which I'm curious to see how many like what the average is for not partnered users for follower counts. I'm just curious. I have no idea what that stat is.
Well, I think this basically these these criteria are sort of to make, basically it's not a very high bar, I think, for anyone who is streaming consistently. And so it's sort of like there are tons of people who use Twitch who have 0 followers, right? But those people aren't necessarily broadcasting. They're not necessarily,
they're followers, people wanting to chat,
Exactly. So I think this will be the idea behind the criteria for affiliates is that it's not supposed to be a very high bar. It's basically just, if you're dedicated to it, then you'll be able to be an affiliate.
Right.
Cool.
There's also some interesting new things coming to the partnership program by the sounds of it. Like a verified Twitch badge, kind of like what Twitter has, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon. And I don't know exactly what's new here. But Twitch partners can keep the amount of emotes that they've unlocked instead of it reverting if they lose the subs they've gained. Is that correct, Brandon?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we actually, it was not part of this announcement, but there was a separate announcement where we launched, or we are launching, higher tiers for subscriptions. So $9.99 price point and a $24.99 price point. And there's some changes involved there as well, which you were alluding to, where partners will be able to unlock emote slots permanently, as opposed to the current system, which was based on current subscriber count. So quite a few changes, some involved with affiliates, some involved with that separate launch. But yeah, lots of neat Twitch news out recently.
Yeah, I just think it's pretty interesting. As somebody that's not directly affiliated with Twitch and just kind of like,
but you could be. You could become an affiliate, and then you would be affiliated.
That's correct. I think it's pretty interesting. I would like to see some different ways, to find and explore new streamers. More of that. Like the random functionality isn't quite doing it for me. I think I like that people are able to make money, but I also don't want people to stream for the wrong reasons, which I think anybody's worried about. But that's just my perspective. But this is really cool. As somebody that used to stream, I would get some viewers, and I think this would be really fun, even if it got me enough for a pint or something.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the idea behind it, is that, there are a lot of people who stream for fun, but there should be a middle ground between just streaming for fun, not being able to make any money, and being a partner, which requires a lot of dedication.
A huge amount.
And so someone that has like a full-time job and just streams for fun, a few nights a week or something. I think this is a great fit for someone like that, where you can maybe make a little bit of money, and like you're saying, maybe get a drink or pay for a game or something. And it's not necessarily going to be like life-changing. You're not going to become a full-time streamer. But that may not be your goal. It may just be to have fun and make a little money on the side.
Cool. It's pretty good for Twitch too, how it kind of encourages more use of bits by putting it through there. It's pretty smart.
Well, I mean, this channel, twitch.tv/KBMOD, we accept bits here. So you could use them if you come and watch the podcast live. Look, I'm happy for you to go use it on some other channel, on some affiliate channel that you're friends with, but you could also use them on our channel, and we would like that as well.
All right. So speaking of shilling, if you're playing Dota, I just want an excuse to talk about Brandon shilling. I have no tie.
I was going to say, how does that play into Dota 2? Oh, KD is gone, having connection issues. Well, anyway, we're gonna move into
talking about shilling, and then Brandon just bans him from Twitch servers.
I hope he can come back. But we're gonna move into the quick hits here, real quick. And this first one is there's a change coming to Dota 2, where Dota 2 is going to require a phone number for ranked matches, which I think is actually pretty smart. I imagine some people will probably have an issue with this for privacy reasons and all sorts of other concerns I could see. But it's basically they're implementing this to curb smurfing accounts, and it makes sense, I think, because it's obviously pretty easy to get. It's pretty easy to create a new account on Steam. Dota 2 is a free game, so it's pretty easy to just create accounts, and all of a sudden you play on a new account. That's not usually known as smurfing, and a lot of high-level players will do that because when you start on a new account, you play against worse people, so you get easier matches. And if you're a really good player, you can just stomp on newer players because you're not in the right skill bracket. So if you force people to enter a phone number,
there's a lot of abuse too. I mean, people are doing smurfing to like get people to higher ranks, stuff like that. And I think by forcing, I think you're about to go into this, but by forcing people to put in their phone number, kind of like that one phone number is associated with your account forever. So like if you created a different one, you can re-enter your phone number and get right into ranked. Right?
Yeah. So. And also it's a lot harder to get another phone number if you did want to smurf, because they typically, services like this will block Google Voice numbers and things like that. So actually going to a phone company and getting a valid phone number, like that's a pretty high bar. Like you'd have to get a separate mobile plan and stuff and pay money for it. So it's a pretty good deterrent for people creating new accounts, and abusing this. So I think I'll be interested to see how it plays out, if it actually helps the problem that they're trying to solve. Because I imagine, like, if you are determined enough, you can definitely get around the system. But I think it's probably just a high enough bar that most people won't bother.
Yeah, I could just use my dad's account and then my mom's, and then
yeah, exactly. But like that's the thing, is at some point you will run out of phone numbers pretty quickly, Yeah. So you may have access to like 3 or 4, but I imagine this abuse problem they're looking to tackle is probably people doing this all the time. Like they probably created dozens of accounts just for smurfing.
I mean, it just ran through my head that if like Russ did this and I couldn't be toxic in chat anymore, you bet your ass I would not be toxic in chat anymore, because I would not be willing to, risk being banned and then not be able to play again, for instance, so.
Yeah, and some people bring it up in chat that it's like $10 for a SIM card, and yeah, that's true. But I mean, I think you would have to be very dedicated to do that. If you want to find a way around the system, you'll be able to. But I think it is a high enough bar that most people are not going to go through the trouble of like loading up on SIM cards and swapping SIM cards out on their phone just to verify the phone number.
Yeah,
that is an incredible amount of work just for this one thing.
I mean, we were even talking about it in precast about something where this is kind of off topic, but how you can opt out of like credit card offers you get nationwide. But Brandon was saying that he did the 5-year option that was only online compared to the lifetime opt-out option that you had to mail in something for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because the fact that you would have to go out of your way off your computer and get a stamp or mail something in an envelope. I mean, theoretically, yes, I could go get a SIM card. Just anybody could and swap it out on my phone. But realistically, are many people going to? No.
Yeah, I think it's about finding that right balance of, it's like just enough friction that most people won't do it. And the people that do get around it, like you can eventually add more mechanisms in place. But I think this is a pretty easy thing to add that creates, it makes it just a slight bit harder to create new accounts that Valve can't recognize as also still being you.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Next, I was trying to think of a good segue, but I don't think I have one here. But this is universally good news. The original StarCraft is now free. So I think we talked about this in a past podcast when StarCraft, like StarCraft Remastered was announced, and we knew they were going to make StarCraft free, but they've gone ahead and done it. So there was a patch, and it is now live for Windows and Mac, and you can get StarCraft, the original StarCraft, for completely free. So that's pretty cool. If you haven't played StarCraft, I guess I would probably recommend, if you haven't played StarCraft, I feel like StarCraft Remastered will probably be the way you should play it. Is that like, it's, I mean, the story and everything is going to be the same, but you're going to have better graphics and all that. But if you don't want to shell out any money for it, the original StarCraft is like just an excellent game. So it's now free, and I guess you probably have to download the Blizzard app. You can just get it there. But
yeah, actually, you have to go through the site. It's not through the Blizzard launcher, because I did it myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like an exe that you have to download, but not that it's huge or anything, being the original StarCraft, even remastered. But
I wish that more companies would do this sort of thing, like, because you look at what they're doing with StarCraft, and they're creating a remastered version, but then they're putting out the original for free, which I think, I guess this could kind of get off topic, but I think the issue of like game preservation and stuff is this massive looming issue, because most games being created these days have either like online checks or some sort of component where there's no guarantee that those games will even work or function at all, say 10 or 20 years from now, and they'll just be lost to the annals of time. But I feel like if the publisher puts like a small amount of effort, or I don't know, I don't want to say small amount of effort, but puts effort toward releasing classic games for free, or for some officially supported way, but I feel like free is like the nice thing to do. Like, put StarCraft out for free, and then charge money for the remastered version that you put more effort into. But like StarCraft should be around for decades, right? Like, you should be able to fire up StarCraft on your computer, when you have children, and show them like, this is like a classic game. This was a game that I enjoyed when I was a kid. And it's unfortunate that a lot of games don't have that. You're not necessarily going to be able to play some games from current day because they have these online checks and stuff, and like the developer team doesn't focus on like creating some way that the game can be played after it's exhausted.
There's a lot of games
life.
that have basically been lost to time. Essentially, it's just like services. It's gone. But just server costs and stuff just basically get too expensive for some companies, and they just stop supporting games, and then you can never play them again. So I relive those moments, and some of that money that goes to maintaining servers and things like that also go into like making sure the game is up to date, so you can play something on Windows 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Else. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's it kind of sucks when you have to resort to kind of the gray market or torrents and stuff to play a classic game where someone, from the community or whatever has made a crack or something where they get around some check.
Or somebody launches a VM, a virtual machine, to, get the original Diablo going or something. So
yeah, like I think I would love to see more games have kind of this sort of release where like you do a remaster, but then you put out the original for free, because I think it's just such a good way to garner goodwill from your customers, and it's also, I think, just like the right thing to do if you do consider your games to be pieces of art. Like, wouldn't you want society to be able to enjoy those, long after those projects are over? It seems like the smart thing to do. Like the thing to do to better society, in my opinion.
Right.
But so you can play that, and the remaster is coming if you want to play that instead. But you'll have to pay for that. That's not free.
I wonder if this could hurt sales of the remaster. If people were thinking about the remaster and then they try the original game out and then they realize it's not for them.
I mean, possibly, but like
I tried I downloaded the original, and it was brutal to the point where I almost bought the remastered because it was like I'm just such a graphic snob anymore that I almost felt.
I mean, I think you, KD, you should download the StarCraft. You should download StarCraft and just play it because like the graphics are pretty old.
You know, in that regard, it might actually boost sales of people who play it. Like, oh, this is nuts! I have to have the remastered version.
Yeah,
I think it was stuck in 4x3, for instance. It was like, oh my god, I got these black bars. This is ridiculous.
Oh god.
I think
I don't know if I want to put up with that.
I think it'll do a lot for the excitement around StarCraft in general. Like, I think that's why it's such a good move, because it may mean that someone who never played StarCraft downloads it and tries it. And then if they enjoy it, they're like, oh, but wouldn't this be so much better with like better textures? You know, like this would actually, I could use my nice 4K monitor or whatever, and play the same game, but play it at a resolution that's not a decade plus old.
I'd be curious to see if Blizzard tries to do like launch the competitive scene, like kind of put more effort into the original StarCraft Remastered, because I feel like
that's what I'm interested in seeing too.
Because I feel like this just kind of updates the game. I mean, like, really, there's still people out there still playing the original StarCraft because they love it.
I mean,
so much.
like Brood War is a staple still in Korea. A lot of people still play Brood War competitively. So I am also interested in that too, because I could see them trying to kind of revitalize StarCraft esports. Right. Sort of by going backward and going to the original that a lot of people have reverence for.
I mean, if we just look at games, like completely different genre, but like Smash Bros. Is still wildly successful. Not even the Wii U. I don't even remember the name, but like Melee, for instance, is just so popular still. You know, it's unreal.
Oh yeah.
And that same effect is happening overseas with the original StarCraft, and I just can't imagine that this would be ignored basically in the competitive scene. You know, Blizzard knows they have something here, and I think with Remastered we're going to be seeing a lot more.
I think that the competitive scene that still exists for that game de facto moves over to the remaster, because it's like, why wouldn't you, right? It's the same game, it's the same core gameplay, but the graphics are updated.
It's just a little polished.
It's a more pleasurable spectator experience. Like, I see no reason why you would continue playing the old game if you can move to the new game and like the core is still there, but it's like built for modern computers. You know, like it just seems like it makes sense. So I will be curious to see if they have some sort of esports strategy around StarCraft Remastered and trying to kind of bring back Brood War in the competitive scene, like in the West, the way that it still is relevant in Korea.
Right.
Well, moving from things that are free to things that will cost you money, but are new.
No.
All right.
AMD.
All right.
Well, actually, there was a better segue opportunity there, because this is like StarCraft Remastered is sort of like what's old is new again, and I get that same feeling from these AMD video cards.
Ooh,
the 500 series. The 500 series are available now, so RX 580 and RX 570. But as we were talking about a little bit before the cast, Brad, these are basically tweaked versions of the 400 series.
No, and that's exactly what they are. They're basically, you know, AMD looked at these and was like, okay, we looked at it and we're able to see that in our manufacturing process, we can push it a little bit faster right out of the box. So what they've done is, if I recall correctly, and chat might correct me here, but the 500 series is a little bit cheaper, I think, and then and a little bit faster than 400 series. The architecture is the same. Everybody's just getting the speed bump at this point. You know, for cards that are like $200, like it's pretty. These are decent cards. I mean, you know, if you're spending more than that, you know, you're still going to want to go team green here. But I think if you're looking for strictly a budget build, these are great for you, I think. It's pretty interesting too, just because these are the same cards, in the same architecture. People have actually been flashing the BIOS on their RX 400 cards into the 500 series cards and actually getting better clock speeds, which is pretty interesting. But
that's really weird to me.
Yeah, so I've heard of this before. Basically, manufacturers have shipped like a bunch of cards and they've flashed like a different BIOS on it to like unlock more memory or something like that. But basically, from what I've read online, flashing the 500 series BIOS onto the 400 series cards are basically upping the voltage, which I don't know if that's something you want, but because AMD, as we all know, have had this tendency to run just a little bit hot. They've been a little better with this architecture at least, but you know, some people are getting more clock speed out of their cards, and it's kind of a win-win for everybody. I'm not sure if AMD appreciates this, of course, but because it's cutting into their sales, obviously, it's like
yeah, but I mean, I feel like the number of people who are willing to flash their video card BIOS to a different generation, probably not very many people. Like even technically inclined people, I think that feels pretty risky. So I don't know that's going to cut in their sales too much, but
anything for like what's best for my buck, dude. I'm just saying.
That's true, but I guess I'm just skeptical that there's actually that much more performance to get out of it. Like you can, regardless of what the your drivers think your card is, like you're still operating on clock speed and voltage and other objective values. So I guess I'd be skeptical that you couldn't also just get there by changing the overclock settings on your RX 480 or whatever. But that's why that feels really risky to me, is because if you flash it to the next gen, like, is that just going to increase your default voltage? Like, you won't necessarily know what's changing. And I don't know, that just sounds like a good recipe for frying a video card.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see like these screenshots too. Like there's this guy's temperatures, it's like 80 Celsius or something, which like I can't imagine like at least my Pascal card going into the 70s like at this point. Like I even at full load, I'm still relatively cool, and I have a light overclock on mine, but hey, I mean, if you're looking to save some money, it sounds like you can buy an RX 480 and flash it to be a 580 and get a little extra overclock. But of course, like everything else when modding your computer, there is a risk involved, and we're not responsible for your fuck ups. But,
yeah, definitely. I imagine if you're even thinking about this, I hope you are technically inclined enough to know the risks of what you're doing. But I mean, it seems like I don't know that this is something to get super excited about necessarily, but it does sound like this is pretty much just replacing the 400 series with better cards at the same or lower price points. So that sounds like a great thing. It's just that I don't know that that's really that exciting. Like for something where they're iterating the series number, right? They've moved from 4 to 5. This doesn't feel that exciting to me. And like on their little comparison graph, the official one from AMD, they're comparing 500 cards to 300 series cards. Like this,
R9 3.
Yeah, it says like the RX 580, and it says up to 1.5 times the higher performance versus the R9 380X in Battlefield 1. And when I read that, I'm like, okay, but that's 2 series ago. Like, you're comparing it to a card that is not, like, that's not your current series. What is it compared to your current series? And the only reason generally that you would compare it to 2 series ago is because the jump from the current series is not impressive enough to put on a marketing slide.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, it's not super exciting, but I mean, I guess it is nice to see AMD continuing to I guess slowly kind of push the envelope there. But I would like to see, we saw them with Ryzen start to maybe finally compete with Intel in a legitimate fashion in the CPU market. I would love to see them have something up their sleeve that actually punches Nvidia in the mouth at some point. But I just don't think
which we might see with Vega, but
yeah, I hope so. But it's just this is not that, right? This is like this is pretty underwhelming. It just means that like if you were planning to buy an AMD card,
you have like $500 to spend, this might be your thing.
Yeah. If you were planning to buy a 480, now you're going to buy a 580, right? Like it's a better buy.
Right.
But it's not going to change your life over the 400 series card. And I think I guess that's what I'm getting at is like when I say underwhelming, I mean if you have an RX 480, you're not going to upgrade.
Oh, you're not going to upgrade. No, not at all.
So hopefully we'll have more interesting news out of AMD at some point later in the year. But sounds like this is pretty minor stuff in the grand scheme of things. But you know what's not minor? The new release for this week.
I had a segue too, but I guess that works.
Did you? No. We'll back up. Let's test your segue.
It looks like AMD's got a few exciting cards hitting the market, and they're pretty powerful. For these new releases this week, you're getting... No, I fucked it up. Hold on.
You had one chance.
I was so into the excitement, I didn't get the one. Whatever, new releases this week. Let's get into it. We've got a lot of good stuff this week. Last time I tried to do a segue, my internet crashed, so I'm going to just go along into it. But yeah, starting off, the first game is called What Remains of Edith Finch. It's a first-person like adventure indie exploration game. It's by the same people that made the unfinished Swan, which was on PS4, PS3. It was that game where everything was white and you only had black paint. You had to like feel your way through the world. Had a pretty good story, but looking at this game, it looks really beautiful. The whole idea is you're going through, you're the last person alive of your family, and you're playing through stories of your family members that all pretty much end in their deaths. And it says, ultimately, it's a game about what it feels like to be humbled and astonished by the vast and unknowable world around us. So, yeah, it looks like a beautiful game. And I know that this developer knows how to tell a pretty damn good story. So be looking out for that. That comes out April 25th, which is on a Tuesday. A lot of these are on a Tuesday. So look out for that. No price yet. Next up is a game called Pinstripe, which is a debut game from one man, Thomas Brush, who, according to a quote from PC Gamer here, made the entire game, except for the voice acting, all by himself. Oh. Did every bit of it by himself. It's already got 6 rewards from the SXSW Gaming Awards, Indiecade Awards, Kickstarter. So it looks pretty promising. It's kind of an atmospheric indie platformer puzzle game. It's an ex-minister ventures through the frozen depths of hell in search of his kidnapped daughter. So a pretty interesting premise. So it says it features a hilarious cast of professional voice actors. So I'm not sure if that's what kind of tone they're going for. But yeah, it looks like a promising platformer there. Also on April 25th, Outlast 2 is finally being released, which looks like it will be pretty terrifying. It looks like it will be a pretty damn good game.
He says with no prior knowledge.
With no prior knowledge of this game. I'm just going to say, just going by the screenshots, it looks like a pretty damn fantastic sequel. Just going by screenshots and, videos, it looks like it improves on everything the first game did pretty well. But I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, Outlast 2 looks dope. Comes out April 25th. I don't see a price yet on the Steam page, but yeah, I'm not sure what the price is. So yeah, definitely looking for that. Let's find out. $20.
$20. Okay, so I'm guessing this will probably be $20, maybe 30.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, definitely pick that up. If you're a fan of the first Outlast. Outlast 2 looks like it's gonna deliver an equally good experience. But
the tag psychological horror sounds that sounds menacing.
Oh my! If it's anything like the first game, then yes, it is a brutal, very, very uncomfortable experience. Like I don't know if you played the Whistleblower DLC for Outlast, but that has one of the most fucked up moments of like any game I've ever played. It's like one of the most uncomfortable, get me out of here moments in a game. That it's just, and so Outlast 2, I'm always up for more of that, baby, you know. But so yeah, April 25th for that one. If you're on a console, you're looking for like a physical release, then on 25th there's going to be a 3-pack being released of Outlast 1, 2, and Whistleblower all on one disc. So keep a lookout for that if you want to give the games a try. But next up is a sequel that I really didn't think was anyone's really asking for. I don't know if you remember Sniper Ghost Warrior 2. It was a pretty old sniping game with nothing too, crazy or impressive. But Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 is being released on April 25th. And I see no price for the game, but I see an option to pre-purchase the season pass. So it's kind of odd you can pre-purchase the season pass. Go ahead.
Oh, on their page, it looks like it's going to be $50.
$50, okay. Well, that makes sense. All right.
It looks similar to Sniper Elite. Is that what they're going for?
I mean, I would assume so. It looks like it's strictly first person, so I think just going by quotes in like the review section, it looks like you have the option to either go through like sniping or to kind of get up close and personal, or just go loud, quote, like you're playing an Assassin's Creed game, or open fire like you're playing a Call of Duty game, so yeah, it might be more focused on going between those three kind of gameplay styles rather than just being strictly about sniping. But
in the trailer here, one of the shots he takes, he shoots someone in the head with a sniper rifle and like blows them back to where they hit a truck and their head like disintegrates. So damn. I don't know about points for realism, but it does look like they're kind of going after that same Sniper Elite style of, the kind of the crazy body part munching type stuff.
Okay. All right, awesome. So yeah, that comes out April 25th. Just a few more here. I'll kind of blaze through these. I'll blaze that was unintentional. Blaze Blue Central Fiction. Boom. Comes out April 26th. If it just released 6 days earlier, that would have been a truly excellent segue about blazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Blaze Blue is a kind of a hyper anime fighter that's been around for a long time, and this one is actually I think this game came out 2015 in arcade cabinets, came out on like PS3 in 2016, and finally coming to Steam. So if you want to get in on that, it's not the first Blaze Blue on Steam, but it's the newest one if you're into that. It's by Arc System Works. They know how to make a damn good fighting game. And so yeah, it's coming out. Also, this game next up is called De Blob. I don't know if you remember this game. It was a Wii exclusive that came out that was apparently pretty good. I haven't played it, but it's finally coming to Steam.
Just in case you don't speak Spanish, that means of blob.
Oh, I never thought about it that way.
I don't know if that's what they're going for, but it's a funny title.
That is good though. De Blob. De Blob. Huh, okay. Damn. Now I have so much more appreciation for this. Okay. Spanish is not a supported language in audio, but so yeah.
Man, what a miss.
No. But yeah, so if you were into that and never gave it a try, you can try it out now. I find this interesting that this was a Wii exclusive that is on Steam now. Hopefully they do the same for Bayonetta 2. Boom.
Oh my god.
All right, anyways. Next up,
I'm sure the licensing structures are exactly the same for De Blob versus Bayonetta.
I can only assume they operate exactly, in the same kind of way. But
reminds me of Portal. There's just like paint all over the floor in this game.
Oh yeah, it's. I think yeah, the premise is like you're supposed to color the entire city you're going through, just using different kinds of paint. So
Huh.
that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
This next game looks fucking dope, and I'm pissed that I didn't get a review copy. But that's just my own little personal drama. Little Nightmares comes out April 27th. Probably shouldn't have added that, but this is a two-dimensional. Well, it's like a 2.5D, sort of like Limbo, really artistic horror game. It's very atmospheric. There's this like distinct. Oh, it really is such a good looking game. There's this distinct like art style with it that I'm not really sure like what the proper name is for it, but just really exaggerated features. You're just this little person in a hood trying to go through this place called the Mall, where a bunch of corrupted souls are looking for their next meal, as the the Steam page says. But yeah, this game looks awesome. I was reading some early reviews that came out. Apparently, it's really well polished, but it's kind of short, which I mean, that's to be expected. So it's retails at $20, so looks like one of those to look out for on a sale, which I'll definitely do.
It does have a really cool art style.
Oh, absolutely. It's yeah, and I was watching some like PAX gameplay. It's so good. I'm definitely gonna check out some streams for this. But yeah. So Little Nightmares, April 27th. Finally, is a game called Warhammer 40K Dawn of War 3. The next in the I can only assume countless amounts of Warhammer 40K games that have come out. But yeah, didn't we get one just last month that like looked really cool but got kind of like poorly received?
Yeah, I feel like Warhammer 40K games, like they'll come at you out of nowhere. And I added this one in because I played Dawn of War back in the day, like the original Dawn of War, and I haven't played one since. But this one actually, like, it does remind me of original Dawn of War. It's like a real-time strategy game, kind of set in the Warhammer 40K universe. So I mean, it looks kind of neat, but it is $60. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Dawn of War is has held up over the years. So I'd be curious to see if anyone if it gets any traction, because it sort of came out of left field for me. I just found out about it tonight when we were looking at new releases.
Yeah, you turn your back for 1 second and those 40K games just come out of nowhere.
They really do, man. That Warhammer 40K franchise, they're all over the place.
I bet. Yeah, I'm looking at the Steam page now. Just like it looks like, just going from some of the in-game footage, it looks really well polished. So.
Yeah. I feel like those games, the Warhammer 40K games, typically do look like they have a lot of polish, but I don't know that any of them has ever really gotten like a ton of acclaim. You know, I don't know why that is. But that comes out April 27th, $60. If you're a Warhammer 40K fan, I imagine that'll be up your alley.
Yes, and there it is. Yeah, and then it just has, I see popular user-defined tags. One of them is just Warhammer 40K. Yeah. I click on this, I see like so many different 40K games. Blood Bowl, Talisman, I didn't even know these were part of it. But, and there it is. God, I say, and there it is so much. Like, at the ceremony for the wedding today, after they said their vows and everybody got up and started walking around, the only thing that came to my mind was just to go, and there it is. Like,
well, there's a certain finality to that phrase that
there really
maybe gives you some comfort.
Yeah, just that could be it.
Did you pick up like from Trailer Park Boys? Like, that's the way she goes.
Oh yeah.
Do some psychoanalysis on your speech patterns, KD.
I'm sure there's some gold to harvest from that. There's just some nonsense like at every moment.
Speaking of harvesting gold from our minds, it's time for viewer questions. We've got our starting question here.
Well, actually, before we do that, how can people send in questions?
That's a good reminder. If you want to send in questions for us each week, we take questions on Sunday afternoon on Twitter, so we call out for questions before the cast, and you can send us Twitter questions at that time. Or if you want to send us a question that's maybe a little longer, you can email us at community@kbmod.com. And if your question's good, generally we have a little higher threshold for email questions, because otherwise, like Twitter's better for short, easy questions. But
yeah, I mean, save the binary shit for the podcast review. But there's you gotta put some time and effort into the viewer questions, because anybody with a Twitter account and or an email address can send these in.
Well, and look, I mean,
we do get a lot.
And to be clear, like the viewer questions is not a time necessarily for memes. Like the viewer questions is a time for sincere reflection upon, questions that are eating you up inside that you need our insight into. So, give it some thought, especially if you're going to send an email. But like these people here, all right, this feels like a pretty important question or set of questions about donuts. We have a question to start off. This is an easy one because it's just our opinion. But Not So Ordinary Gamer sent us a question. What is your favorite kind of donut? And this is, I feel like there are two different ways you could take this, because there's like type of donut as in flavor, and then type of donut as in like shape or category. Like you've got fritters, you've got donut holes, you've got like, you know what I mean? Different types of donuts, and then different flavors of donuts, right? Your chocolate, your glazed, etc.
I don't know. I'm a simple man. I'll just go for a simple, either a glazed donut or like something. I really don't like filled donuts. Like those just don't really do anything for me. Just
like really like jelly or cream.
Yeah, nothing really concentrated in the center.
Yeah, I love a good jelly donut. I don't have them that often because obviously donuts are not something you should have often, really. But,
no.
But I like a jelly-filled donut.
I'm kind of a fritter guy.
Really.
Fritters,
I like apples.
Yeah, fritters are really good. I think the times that I've had fritters, like what you can do if you want to just go all out, completely unhealthy, is you get a fritter and you put butter on the top and you put it in the microwave, so you have like melted butter on top of the fritter. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
Damn.
You know what I hate when people post about it and stuff and how popular it got. But I legitimately liked the maple bars with like bacon on it.
Really?
I kind of did. I did. Yeah. At least the donut places here and where I'm at, like they do it.
I was gonna say you've kind of got some. You got some like specialty donut shops up your way.
Yeah, I mean, let it be clear, Voodoo Donut is fucking garbage, but the other places are.
Shots fired at Voodoo.
It's, trust me, if you went, you'd be like.
Oh, I know. I've been there, but I think Voodoo's more for the. It's like a tourist place, It's like it's all the crazy specialty stuff, but it's not necessarily. I feel like the Voodoo types of donuts are not something you'd want to have every day. You would only have it if you're like in town visiting and you're like, oh, let's try this crazy type of donut.
Yeah, because like Voodoo, for those that don't know, basically the Food Network got to Portland and they were like, okay, what's crazy, what's unusual? And then they came across Voodoo, where they literally grind up bubble gum and put it on top of a donut, where they have voodoo doll shaped donuts that you can stab with pretzels and jelly comes out and it's supposed to be blood. Or they have a dick shaped donut as well. If you're wanting some cock and balls, they have something for you. But yeah, as far as actual donuts go, they aren't the best. There's a couple of places. If you ever come to Portland, check out Blue Star. Blue Star is way better. Though I do have some gripes with them, but they're still pretty good. But anyways, yes. So they kind of popularized. I would give them some of the credit for the maple bar with bacon on it.
Was that your favorite kind of donut, though?
No, I would still say apple fritter. Okay. But like up there is a maple bar with like bacon. Like that's if the place does it right. But
I think my favorite. It's hard to say because I like a lot of different types of donuts. I try not to eat them, but if you just offer me, like if you brought a box of donuts in and you had a fritter and a glazed and chocolate, and a jelly filled. It would be very hard for me to pick because I like all those types of flavors. But I do think I like just a regular glazed donut. I think because I can compare it across different places. You know, like I feel like you can sort of judge the quality of a donut shop based on the glazed donut. And so like a Krispy Kreme glazed, for instance, is a very specific thing compared to like the, I don't know, glazed donut you might get at some mom and pop donut shop.
See, I feel that way with like fast food, Mexican food places. Like if you can just get the bean and cheese burrito and you just give that a try, if it's good, that usually tells you if the rest of the junk that they shove out there is going to be good or not.
Yeah, I feel like it's sort of like cheesecake for me. Like you could always get cheesecake at a restaurant and sort of compare desserts in a apples to apples fashion because a lot of places serve cheesecake.
I have a question for Kitty Zen. Have you just had cheesecake at Jack in the Box, or have you had actual cheesecake, Kitty Zen?
I've had actual cheesecake before.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
Yeah. I'm the most offended I've been in a long time.
What was so what was your answer here, Katie? What's your favorite?
My favorite, I mean, I'm not really picky about donuts. I mean,
under your head, you got to pick one.
Just a regular chocolate-filled glazed donut, no fillings.
Oh, chocolate-filled and glazed.
No, I'm sorry, I meant chocolate-covered.
But chocolate-covered and glazed? Because a lot of chocolate-covered are not glazed.
I think I might be thinking...
Are you saying a chocolate donut with a glaze on it?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say that.
Okay.
I'm not too into my donut terminology.
All right, I'm just saying those are like chocolate donut and chocolate glazed donut, I think are two pretty different beasts.
Okay.
So I just don't, I don't want our listeners to get in an uproar. I want them to know what you're talking about.
This Katie's on, guys, just giving me all kinds of mixed messages.
Yeah.
Just a bad influence.
Well, so this next question, also donut related, but I think that's just a coincidence, if not well played. At M. Paul Awesome asks, is a donut hole a real donut? Second question, what defines a donut?
Well, yeah, it's a donut. I mean, it's like deep fried dough, right? So
But I mean, is it a donut though? It is a donut hole, that's clear, because it's in the name. But is it a donut? It doesn't have a donut shape.
I don't think donuts are really defined by shape, right? Like what defines a donut? It's just like how they're made.
Yeah, I mean, like a fritter.
So there's like a secondary definition for donut, which is anything shaped like a thick ring, right? So like tires are donut shaped, right? So are we I mean, if you want to be literal, I feel like donut could just mean anything that is like doughy sweet cake. Or you could say that it's the shape of a donut, in which case a donut hole is not. I don't know.
I want to get M. Paul Awesome on the cast to kind of understand where his priorities are at. Thinking about donuts at this hour.
I'm gonna say I don't know what defines a donut, but I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think the title donut hole. If it's an actual donut hole, then there's going to be nothing there. I mean, I guess I'll be holding a donut hole right now, because donuts don't have holes. So that name in itself is a controversy.
I mean, sure, donuts have holes. They have a hole in the middle. That's what makes them a donut.
But what about a fritter?
I think that's where it gets complicated, right? What defines a donut? Because a fritter is not donut shaped. I think I don't have a good answer here. I don't have a good answer here, but I would say that when it comes to donuts and similar things in the donut category, like baked, sweet baked goods, it's important to have it's important to be clear about your terminology. Like you wouldn't call a fritter a donut. You should call it a fritter. And you shouldn't call it donut you should not call a donut hole a donut. You should always call it a donut hole, because there is just a more specific way to talk about what you mean. I think if you say donut with no other context, people are going to assume it is a ring-shaped object.
Well, the way donut holes were created was they were originally part of the donut, but to make sure they were cooked all the way through, they cut holes into the donuts to make them hold. So the original donut was not a circle shape, if I recall correctly, but like donut holes were basically created.
Well, and like you have, jelly-filled donuts don't have holes in the middle.
Yeah, because they don't need to cook all the way through. It's just jelly in the inside.
I know, but I'm just saying that throws another wrinkle.
Next
here.
question. Oh my god.
We're blowing KD's mind.
I'm just like, how much more can we push the donuts?
I don't know, man. These are existential questions. People ask us for a reason. I assume this has been bothering Impal Awesome for a while now, and he finally found the opportunity to ask us.
Right.
Okay.
But hopefully that helps you. I'll be next week. We will have a Twitter poll about what makes a donut. But next up,
all right,
we have a question from Eco Official on Twitter. He asks, "What's your favorite calculator model?"
My phone.
I'm not going to go with.
Does that count?
I guess I was gonna say whatever ones those like you load ROMs into and play games on.
How do you not know the model?
Because to be honest, all I care about is whether I can type 58008 in it, press enter, and then have it read boobs backwards when you. I would prefer that over any of the TIs or whatever.
Okay, so you're talking about you basically just want like a large basic calculator.
I live to meme, yeah.
Okay. That's definitely, meme potential is high there, but it's pretty limited based on like a few words. So I feel like you're kind of a one-trick pony with that calculator.
The TI-84 Plus has saved my ass countless times, so I need to give it a proper shout out.
You know, the amazing thing is, I feel like it's crazy to me that that's still what gets used in schools. It's like I was using a TI, I think 84 or 83 when I was in high school, and the fact that that is still a calculator that people in high school use is incredible to me. But that is my default answer, because that is the calculator I used the most through my schooling years. I think I still have it somewhere, but
it's just a beast.
That was in the days before phone games and things like that. Like I remember people loading games onto. I loaded games onto my TI-83. I think I had like a snake game. Pretty sure there was a game called Drug Wars that was like actually banned at school, but people would the teachers didn't know how it worked. So it was like if the teacher caught you, you just wiped your memory, But I'm pretty sure it was I think it was literally just called Drug Wars, and it was like sort of a precursor to all the Mafia Wars phone games and stuff.
Damn.
But man, yeah, those
that's
are
the inspiration.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some innovation in the calculator game market that I think ended up flowing into phone games. But the kids today will never know. You got phones in your pocket. These high-end computers in your pocket that can play all these games. Man, back in my day, back in Brad's day, he's spelling boobs upside down. And in my day, I was playing Snake on my TI-83, and I thought that was pretty neat.
I use the 83. Actually, shout out to an old high school classmate of mine that I stole an 83 from. I think five different college students use that thing. So thanks, Casey Thine, if you're listening, dude.
It was called Dope Wars. That sounds right. Yeah.
Dope Wars.
It's like everyone in school knew what this game was. It was only on a TI-83. Crazy stuff.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I feel like I don't even know other calculator models these days. Like that is the industry standard. I used to have a calculator watch, an old like Casio watch that I don't even know if I could find a picture of it, but it was like it had a little calculator on it. I thought that was pretty cool. I was probably like 10 years old.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you wear a suit to 10th grade too or something? Or
no. But it was, man, there were all sorts of neat little gadgets. Like I feel like a lot of gadgets have just been subsumed into phones. But I remember there was a watch that would change TV channels. Like, and I didn't have one, but someone in class had one, and they would mess with the teacher by turning off or like changing the channel of the TV in our classroom. And I thought that was, it was stupid, but that was neat. And I had a calculator watch, so you can be cool when you're a kid. Anyway, if you want to be cool, you should send us an iTunes podcast review, like 2 people did this week. There are very few rules for our iTunes podcast review process. KD, can you tell us what those rules are?
Oh, of course. Listen, we're a podcast, so of course we're on iTunes. Soon to be renamed, I hear. Isn't it just being called like Apple Podcasts or something?
I don't know.
Right?
But even regardless of what happens with Apple's podcast ecosystem,
yes,
this will always be called the iTunes podcast review of the week.
We'll keep it going up until episode 800, when the whole Apple's been absorbed into Google.
You can pull this name from our cold dead hands.
But yes, for our iTunes podcast review of the week, all you need to do is harvest some sort of technology that allows you to access our iTunes page. Leave us a review. It could be really anything you want. There's such a low ceiling to reach when it comes to your reviews. And there's just one prerequisite you need to meet, and that's to give us 5 stars. And that really is an action that you can perform that has little negative repercussion on your life in any way, and it helps us out quite a bit. So we've got a couple of reviews.
KD, I just realized you could leave us a review without ever using a keyboard. You could only click, and you'd still be able to leave a review.
Okay, that's right.
It wouldn't be an interesting review, but you could do it.
You could also, for all we know, both of these reviews have been clicked. It's very possible to open up a virtual keyboard.
That's true, actually. Yeah, I guess technically, yeah, you could do anything with just a mouse. But I was thinking you could literally go navigate to our iTunes page, click the stars, and click submit, and never even touch your keyboard.
We've got a review this week from anonymous user. Didn't have anything to say. Gave us 5 stars, so thank you very much. Yeah.
No. But we would still feature you. See, that's the thing. We would still feature you.
Yeah, for sure. But thankfully, we've got a couple of beautiful people who gave us 5-star reviews that had a lot more to say than just the rating. The first one, I'll go ahead and take this one away. It's from Perpskirp, and the title of the review is B, or perhaps Bye. It's just B-I-I-I-I-I-I-I. So it could go either way. He says, why the fuck would you brand your new... Fuck. Let me start over. Why the fuck would you brand your hip new tech website KBMOD? It is a mouth diarrhea. You guys couldn't think of a less ugly amalgamation of PC humor? I can't believe KBMOD has lasted this long, but I am so happy it has. 5 out of 5. Well, Perpskirp,
I can't believe it's lasted this long either.
Yeah, it's a miracle.
But you know why it endures? It endures because of reviews like this one. What keeps us going.
So this thing you hate so much, you're the person keeping it alive.
Well, I think he doesn't say he hates it. I think he has disdain for our name. Which I mean, let's be honest here. Like KBMOD, it's 3 syllables. That's not that bad.
It's pretty simple. It's tattooable. We've seen that.
PC gamer is 4 syllables. Maximum PC that's even more syllables. I think in the world of naming in the PC space, we have one of the easier names.
Oh yeah. Hey, what's your website? Rock, paper, shotgun. Pfft, baby shit.
We actually
Come on. Now, you can also flip that around and say our website is keyboard plus mouse or die. And then you've completely won.
Maybe that's what he's talking about. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Maybe he's referring to sort of the full, like, the fully expanded version of our name, which then I could see he might have a point.
In that regard, it is not too great.
But in that case, that's the great thing is you don't have to call it by its full official name every single time you refer to it.
Yes.
We actually can't change the name because somebody got a tattoo of KBMOD on them. So
yeah, it's too far gone.
We
could change the acronym.
Yeah,
but
we've set the course of people's lives based on the name being what it is, so we can't change it now. I'm sorry.
Gonna have to live with that. But thank you for the review.
You know what though? The review section is a great place to air that grievance. Appreciate that. 5 stars.
The review section is just a great outlet for pretty much anything you're feeling at all. It doesn't really have to be podcast related. As long as you get 5 stars. Yeah, speaking of things that aren't on this week's podcast, the title of this next review is about Scott Fisher. It's from Benito Bussolini. Gave us 5 stars. He says, I saw Scott Fisher at a Wawa yesterday. I told him how cool it was to meet him in person, but I didn't want to be a douche and bother him and ask him for photos or anything. He said, oh, like you're doing now? I was taken aback. And all I could do was say, huh? But he kept cutting me off and going, huh, and closing his hand shut in front of my face. I walked away and continued with my shopping, and I heard him chuckle as I walked off. When I came to pay for my stuff up front, I saw him trying to walk out the doors with like 15 Milky Ways in his hands without paying. The girl at the counter was very nice about it and professional, and was like, sir, you need to pay for those first. At first, he kept pretending to be tired and not hear her, but eventually turned back around and brought them to the counter. When she took one of the bars and started scanning it multiple times, he stopped her and told her to scan them each individually to prevent any electrical interference, and then turned around and winked at me. I don't even think that's a word. Wait, he said interference. Okay, I didn't say it as written. It said to prevent any electrical interference. All right. And then turned around and winked at me. I don't even think that's a word. After she scanned each bar and put them in the bag and started to say the price, he kept interrupting her by yawning really loudly. Damn. Oh my God.
What an incredible story.
Wow. We'll have to have Scott answer for his crimes next week when he's on, because that is pretty. 15 Milky Ways, just ignoring this poor girl.
Yeah, and I mean, walking out without paying, that is not the Scott Fisher that I know.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was an upstanding gentleman, but
how comfortable do you have to be at a Wawa to just walk out without paying? Actually, now that I think about it, it's possible that this is like, if this was his, let's say like his home Wawa, the one he goes to all the time, maybe he's like, they already know his payment information, right? Maybe this is just like, maybe Manito here didn't know that he's just basically, he's good for it,
That could be it. That could be it. In that case, Benito Bussolini has no case interfering in this.
But I mean, honestly though, Scott, it sounds like Scott was pretty rude to this guy in his face.
He just kept interrupting him.
He only said, he was like, he told him how cool it was to meet him in person, and he didn't want to bother him and ask for photos. And then Scott assumed that was actually him asking for a photo. But he said specifically he didn't want to be, like, he did not want to ask for a photo. So I think Scott is assigning, like, I think Scott assumed this guy was actually trying to, like, get in his face, when, based on his side of the story, he wasn't.
Yeah, maybe he was just in a dark place. He had a lot of aggression with him. He's trying to get out of there with Milky Ways. He's trying to shut down any annoying fans, like that one guy outside of the grocery store. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. If Scott is going into a Wawa and getting 15 Milky Ways, he is not in a right state of mind.
That was just to feed his cats, though. So.
Oh, okay.
One
All right.
Milky Way for every cat. So
Well, that is quite a story.
That's not enough.
I really do. I appreciate that review, Minito, and 5-star review. Even though it sounds like if you were reviewing his interaction with Scott Fisher, you would not have left 5 stars. But luckily, he's not. He's reviewing the podcast, and 5 stars is the rating we deserve. So thank you, Perpskirp and Manito, for your reviews. And you also can leave us a review, and we might feature it on a future cast. So please do that. But I think that's gonna
leave us some bits.
Oh, nice callback. If you watch the cast live, each Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, you can drop by, watch the cast live, and maybe subscribe to our Twitch channel or drop some bits in the chat. That'd be cool. But I think that's going to do it for us for episode 275. So thank you guys for joining us. You can find us on a lot of different social media outlets, but we're mostly, I think, most active on Twitter, I would say. We are at KBMOD Gaming on Twitter. But we also have a Steam group, a Facebook page, Discord, all sorts of places where you can interact with us and interact with folks in the community. So I would say for all of those things, for the whole clearinghouse, go to kbmod.com. Not keyboard plus mouse or die.com, because that would be a mouthful. Like, that would be a lot. But no, just kbmod.com. And you can find all the places to follow us. And you can also follow us individually. I am at Volition on Twitter. That's VOL1TION. You can find KDZen at KDZen18. And you can find Brad at Hutchison15 on Twitter. So thank you for joining us for episode 275. We will be back next week, same time, same place. We will see you then.
Yatta!